In this session, we are going to learn about character functions. Character function is a function that takes one or more character values as parameters and returns either a character value or a number value. Character functions can be divided into two parts. First represents case manipulation functions and second represents character manipulation functions. Now let's start to have a look for few of the important character functions. Let's initiate with lower function. It converts alpha character values to lowercase. The return value has the same data type as argument char type, that is char or var char2. The syntax which need to be followed is the keyword lower and passing the column or expression as a parameter. Let's have a look for few examples of lower function. Select lower, passing the parameters database technologies from the table dual. Execute the statement. Output got generated. A string which has been passed got converted into the lowercase as we can see in the output. Let's write the another query. Select ename, job, lower of ename, lower of job from the employee table where department number equals 20. Execute the statement. Output got generated with the 4 columns. First 2 columns represents the values in the uppercase, whereas the next 2 columns got generated with the lowercase as we had used lower function for these columns. Now let's move towards the upper function. Upper function converts the alpha character values to uppercase. The return value has the same data type as the argument char. The syntax which need to be followed is passing the column or expression in the upper function. Let's have a look for few examples. Here we are going to use the same queries what we had used in the case of lower function. Let's change the queries. Select upper of database technologies from the dual table. Execute the statement. Got generated with the output. Here we can see the output got generated is in uppercase. Let's have a look for the next query. Select ename, job, upper of ename, upper of job from the employee table where department equals 20. Execute the statement. Got generated with the output. The first 2 columns as represented the same, but the last 2 columns are the output of the usage of the upper function. Now let's move for the next function INITCAP. It returns a string with the first letter of each word is in the uppercase, keeping the all other letters in lowercase. The syntax which need to be followed is passing the column or expression in the INITCAP function. Now let's have a look for few examples. Again we are using the same last 2 queries as the base and altering the query for the INITCAP function. Select INITCAP, passing the parameter as database technologies from the dual table. Execute the statement. Got generated with the output. Here you can analyze the first letter of each word is in uppercase and keeping the other letters is in lowercase. Now let's move for the next query. Select ename, job, INITCAP of ename, INITCAP of job from the employee table where department number equals 20. Execute the statement. Got generated with the output. First 2 columns is as usual, but the last 2 columns are impacted by the INITCAP function. That is, the each word has been initiated with the uppercase and the rest of the letters in a word are in lowercase. Now let's move for the next function, that is concatenation function. CONCAT function concatenates the first character's value to the second character value where only 2 parameters will be accepted. It returns the character data type. The syntax which need to be followed is concat keyword taking the first parameter as column 1 or expression 1, taking the second parameter column 2 or expression 2. Let's have a look for few examples. Select concat taking the 2 parameters separated by comma. First parameter will be INITCAP of the string oracle written inside the single quotation. Now taking the second parameter as INITCAP of, passing the parameter in single quotation as database technologies from the dual table. Execute the statement. Got generated with the output, that is Oracle database technologies. Here we had used with the concat keyword passing the 2 parameters. First represents the INITCAP of the string oracle followed by space, and the second parameter is represented by INITCAP of the string database technologies. Now writing the next query, select concat taking the two parameters separated by comma. First parameter is the employee name is space, writing the second parameter INITCAP of ename from the employee table where department number equals 20. Execute the statement, got generated with the output, the employee name is Jones, the employee name is Scott, and so on. Here we had concatenated with two strings, that is the first is the employee name is space and the second is INITCAP of the ename from the employee table where department number equals 20. Now let's move for the next function, substring. Substring function returns specified characters from the character value string from a specified position m to n characters long. This function is mainly used to extract the portion of the string. If floating point numbers passed as arguments to substring are automatically converted into integers. The syntax which need to be followed is substr passing the three parameters where the first represented by column or expression, second by m, third is n which is optional. Where the column or expression is the character to be searched, m represents starting position, n represents occurrence of the number. Points to be remembered, if m is 0 it is treated as 1. If m is positive, oracle counts from the beginning of the character to find the first character. If o is omitted, oracle returns odd characters to the end of the char. If n is less than 1 or 0, a null is returned. Now let's have a look for few examples. Select substr function taking the three parameters all separated by comma. First represents the string, that is database technologies. Second parameter 5 and the third parameter is 6 from the dual table. Execute the statement, got generated with the output as base space t. Let's analyze the query. Substring function takes the three parameters. First represents the string, second represents the starting position, that is 5, and the third parameter represents occurrence number, that is 6, resulting output generated with the fifth position, that is b, which got initiated up to next 6 positions, that is base space t, which results in the output. Let's write the next query. Select ename comma job from the employee table where substr function taking two parameters, first parameter represents job and the second parameter represents 6 equals upper of man. Execute the statement, got generated with the output with employee names and respective jobs as salesman applicable for all the employees. Let's analyze the query where we had written the condition substr of job comma 6 equals upper of man. That is, only salesman is the job where the position is started from the 6 equals man as written in the right hand side of the condition, that is upper of man. Now let's move for the next function, that is length function. Length function returns the number of characters in a value. If the character has the data type char, the length includes all the trailing blanks. If the character is null, it returns null. The syntax which need to be followed is passing the parameter either column or expression in the function length. Let's have a look for few examples. Select length function passing the parameter as database technologies from the dual table. Execute the statement, got generated with the output as 21, which represents the length of the string database technologies. Now let's write the next query. Select INITCAP of ename comma job from the employee table where length of ename equals 5. Execute the statement, got generated with the output employee with their respective job by satisfying the condition that length of the employee name equals 5. Now let's move for the next function, LTRIM function. LTRIM function enables to trim heading character from a character string. All the leftmost characters that appear in the set are removed. The syntax which need to be followed is LTRIM passing the two parameters. First is char comma, the second is the set. Now let's have a look for few examples. Select LTRIM of passing the two parameters separated by comma. First parameter is the string xy salesman and the second is again the string xy from the dual table. Execute the statement, got generated with the output as salesman. Here, all the leftmost characters that appear in the set got removed. That is, XY got removed from the string initiated from the left hand side. Now let's write the next query. Select LTRIM of the first parameter is followed by space Oracle 11G. The second parameter is M. From the dual table, execute the statement got generated with the output as Oracle 11G, where all the leftmost characters, that is M and space, got removed. Now let's move for the next function, RTRIM function. RTRIM function enables to trim heading character from a character string. All the rightmost characters that appear in the set are removed. The syntax which need to be followed is RTRIM passing the two parameters, first represented by char separated by comma and the second is the set. Let's have a look for few examples. Taking the same query, changing the function from LTRIM to RTRIM, that is the query becomes select RTRIM of the first parameter is salesman XY, comma, the second parameter XY from the dual table, execute the statement got generated with the output as salesman. Here all the rightmost characters that appear in the set got removed, that is XY. Now changing the function for the next query, that is select RTRIM, the first parameter is Oracle 11G followed by M, comma, the second parameter is M from the dual table, execute the statement got generated with the output as Oracle 11G. Now let's move for the next function, that is TRIM function. TRIM function trims heading or trailing characters or both from a character string. If trim character or trim source is a character literal, you must enclose it in a single quotes. If the leading is specified, it concentrates on leading characters. If trailing is specified, it concentrates on the trailing characters. If both or none is specified, it concentrates both on leading and trailing characters. It returns the varchar2 type. Now let's have a look for few examples. Select TRIM function passing the parameter as leading S from Smith from the dual table, execute the statement got generated with the output as Smith SS. Here in the query we specified with the leading, resulting it concentrates on the leading characters removal. Writing the next query, select RTRIM of trailing S from Smith from the dual table, execute the statement got generated with the output as Smith. Here trailing is specified, that is it concentrates on trailing characters removal. Writing next query, select trim of both S from Smith from the dual, execute it, got generated with the output as Smith. Here both has been specified, that is it concentrates on both trailing and leading characters removal. Writing the next query, select trim of S from Smith from the dual table, execute it, got generated with the output as Smith. Here nothing is specified, that is it concentrates on both, that is on the leading and the trailing characters. Now let's move for the next function, that is CHR function. CHR function returns a character having the binary equivalent to n. It returns the equivalent for n in the database character set or national character set. The syntax which need to be followed is passing the number n as a parameter in the CHR function. Let's have a look for the example pertaining to CHR function. Select CHR function passing parameter as 75 followed by pipe operator, CHR function 73 pipe operator, CHR function passing parameter as 78 pipe operator, CHR function passing parameter as 71, giving the alias as name from the dual table. Execute the statement got generated with the output as king. That is it returns a character having the binary equivalent to n. Now let's move for the next function, that is ASCII function. ASCII function returns the decimal representation in the character database set of the first characters of the char. The syntax which need to be followed is passing the char as the parameter in the function ASCII. Now let's have a look for few examples. Select ASCII of passing parameter as a from the dual table, execute the statement got generated with the output as 65, which is the ASCII value representation of char a. Writing next query, select ename, comma, ASCII of ename from the employee table, execute the statement, got generated with the output. In this query, it returns the decimal representation of the provided employee name of the first characters of the char.